it's Sandra. Welcome to another episode of Asexualized, my asexual life. This is the place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual, and I share my own asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit the great big subscribe button right here, right now. Please hit that bell icon so you get notified of every time I go live right now, post a new video. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up as we're going along if you're enjoying the content. If you don't know who I am Sandra Bermy, author of Asexual Perspective, 47 Asexual Stories, Love, Life and Sex, a celebration of asexual diversity. I'm also the founder of asexualised.com and the founder of Asexualized Academy. Well, welcome to tonight's episode. Tonight we're going to be discussing romantic behaviour versus romantic attraction. What's the difference? So just like you can get sexual behaviour is not the same as sexual attraction, you can get romantic behaviour is not the same as romantic attraction. So in asexuality is a term which describes the lack of sexual attraction. It's a sexual orientation that's a lack of sexual attraction and or little to no interest in sexual activities. The and or is very important because some asexuals do still have sexual behaviour. They can still participate in sexual acts. They can still even have sex because it's the attraction that defines whether they're asexual or not. This is similar to romantic orientations. Romantic orientations are defined by the fact they're romantically attracted to someone. And then it could be that they're romantically attracted to the opposite gender or sex, which is heteromantic. It could be they're attracted to the same gender or sex, which would be homoromantic. It could mean they're attracted to both male and female genders, which would be biromantic. And it could be they're romantically attracted to any gender regardless, like agender, gender fluid, male, female, whatever. And they would be pan-romantic. So the romantics of asexuality get attracted romantically to another person. That's how they define romantic attraction, because they get attracted romantically, so they want a romantic relationship. They would think of things like cuddling, kissing, holding hands, doing things together, being in each other's lives, messaging each other. Now, aromantic asexuals lack romantic attraction. However, aromantic asexuals could still have romantic behaviour. So how does that even work? So, for example, if I'm a romantic person, right? I'm a heteromantic, okay? So I'm romantically attracted to guys, right? If a guy who's not just my mate, I don't know a guy very well, right? Say a guy came into my life, I didn't know him very well, we hadn't gone to the friendship level, I didn't know him as a mate, he was quite new, he was chatting lots to me, and he invited me out for a meal. That to me would be romantic because there's not been a foundation secured of friendship there. It's not meeting in a group, it's meeting one-to-one straight away. And so it depends on how they phrase it and how their behaviour has been before. But if they've been like chatting me up, that would ultimately mean I think that was a date type of scenario, possibly, even if they didn't say it. So it can be very difficult because aromantics can have romantic behaviour, but the difference is between romantic behaviour and romantic attraction is the feeling towards the other person and the intention. So an aromantic doesn't experience romantic attraction. So if they say or do anything that may seem romantic to a romantic person, it's just them being themselves. Them being friendly, them being kind, them being caring, them being generous, them being friendly friend. It's not them actually experiencing romantic attraction to you unless they are a demi-romantic or a grey romantic. So this is when aromanticism starts getting into confusion sometimes. So an aromantic person, just a regular aromantic person, doesn't experience any romantic attraction whatsoever. Grey romantic aromantic can experience romantic attraction in a limited, rare, or specific circumstances, but not enough to want to act on it as well. And a demi-romantic can experience romantic attraction when a deep emotional connection has been formed. So when that happens, they'll become like a romantic person. And then there's a couple romantic, which I mentioned before in a previous video. Couple romantic strongly desires a romantic relationship despite not experiencing any romantic attraction themselves. Thus, someone who's couple romantic could participate in a lot of romantic behaviour with their partner. So a couple romantic is likely to want to be in a relationship with a heteromantic because they strongly desire and crave that romantic relationship despite not feeling any romantic attraction themselves. So that could lead them on to like kissing, cuddling, holding hands, taking moonlit walks, reading poetry to each other, all those type of things, but it won't usually come naturally to an aromantic person. The sort of romantic person would need to lead the way more, would need to tell the aromantic person who's couple romantic what type of things they like that they find romantic. So it's like you guide the way for them because it's not something that comes naturally for them. But a couple romantic who strongly desires a romantic relationship might learn from things like romantic films. And they might still be able to learn romantic stuff. I mean, obviously, once if they're that not very experienced and they haven't been watching or learning about how to be romantic, then you can teach them because they strongly desire usually to be romantic despite not experiencing romantic attraction. So they're kind of like more of an open book, more open-minded, more open to suggestions of romance and doing romantic things together. Now, like I said before, some aromantics, they can come across as so friendly. I'm only used to be used to that in romantic relationships in the past, in guys who pursue me romantically. A guy who messaged me and chats to me every day, that used to be in the heterosexual normative world, someone who was very attracted to me romantically, wanted a romantic relationship with me. And obviously in the heteronormative world, it would be wanted a sexual romantic relationship with me. But with aromantics and with asexuals in general, when you get very close asexual friends, they can tend to message you nearly every day. And that is like a normal part of having a really close asexual relationship, friendship. And that is still taking me some time to get used to, because obviously if you don't know someone, if they're new to you, they're an asexual, you just start talking to you, then obviously you don't actually know what type of asexual they are. You've got to ask them. And even then, sometimes they don't know themselves. They just find out about asexuality. They might be confused. And so then that confuses you. And so you just have to bide your time and ask them questions about how they feel and what they think and what their normal pattern of behavior is to assess whether they actually like you romantically, or it's just the fact that they are being themselves in an asexual world, as it were, because the asexual world and the heterosexual world are very different sometimes. They're different types of bond because, in the heterosexual world, most people who want a relationship are messaging the person all the time. They're consistent, they're persistent, they're pursuing, and that doesn't happen a lot in the asexual community. The persistent pursuing of a relationship doesn't happen, in my experience, very often. But the pursuance of friendship to deepen it does happen more often. And it's good because you can make really deep, strong, emotional connections with friends. I've never had that before. I'm not used to it. I have to admit, I'm still getting used to it. It's very difficult for me because it's very hard, because some people, they'll say they don't find anyone attractive or fancy someone, but really they do because they're scared about saying it, and sometimes some asexuals don't know what they are and they're confused themselves, which doesn't help because it confuses you. But you just have to remember that sexual behavior is not the same as sexual attraction, and romantic behavior is not the same as romantic attraction. Therefore, someone could act romantically attracted to you in the asexual world and not be romantically attracted to you. So you might come to a point where you've got to have that conversation saying, how do you feel about me? Do you just like me as a friend or more than a friend? Because I'm finding it really hard to tell, because like I'm a different asexual to you. Do you know what I mean? Different type. So you might have to have that serious conversation. But the sexual behavior obviously is different to sexual attraction. The romantic behavior is different from romantic attraction. You know, if they put on their profile they're just looking for friends, it's more likely to be that the romantic behavior is just them wanting to be really good friends with you and be close to you as a friend, not actually anything more than that. But you know, friendships can develop into relationships, and I mean, I know that. I think that's why I'm a bit more like, in my mind, where is this going? Because I like to know where any type of relationship going. Is it going to be friendship forever? Is it short-term friendship? Is it just to say hi? Is it just to come to a meet up and disappear again? Is it something you want long term? You know, I kind of like to know where I stand, and sometimes you just don't, because when you meet someone new, you don't know how you're going to get on. You don't know much about the other person. You don't know their habits, their interests. You don't know how they are from day to day, and so you know it's very difficult. You've just got to see what happens, but you have to understand that most, you know, if you are looking for a relationship, you're asexual, you have to start at the friendship level first. And my brain works in stories like all the time, so I'm like, okay, how would this story might end? You know what I mean? If it turned romantic, for example, because that's how my brain naturally works. That's how my hyper-romanticism works. That's how my heart works. But romantic behavior is very different to romantic attraction, because with romantic behavior, the person's who's just got romantic behavior but no romantic attraction, they don't behave that way with the intention of romantically attracting to someone or being romantically attracted to someone. It's just the way they naturally are. They're not trying to push something. They're not trying to manipulate something. They're not trying to make something that it isn't. They're just being themselves. And you have to understand that. Also, there's a very big difference between an extrovert asexual and an introvert asexual as well, in some instances. Like an extrovert asexual might be a lot more friendly, might be a lot more sociable, might chat to a lot more people. It might seem like they're chatting you up. And they might be chatting you up, to be honest, but they might just be being really, really friendly because they're more sociable, because they're extroverts. However, I have found a lot of introverts to be quite sociable. They're quite chatty because they spend a lot of time at home or a lot of time indoors, and they got kind of more time on their hands to talk to people. And it's really weird, because although extroverts can get drained of energy by talking to a lot of people, it's kind of because they're inside a lot. I find they can talk to you a lot more online, because they kind of really need to talk to someone. They feel a bit lonely and stuff. And, you know, the 5 ways to well-being, one of those is being connected to someone. So it's only natural to feel that you want to be connected to someone, that you want to talk to someone, that you want to have someone in your life to share your world, opinions and views with. It's really important, you know, it's healthy. It's healthy to talk to people, to share things with people, to be in each other's lives, so long as it's not causing any damage to either of you and you're taking care of yourself first and foremost and not neglecting your own needs. It's really important you don't do that. So, you know, when someone comes along, just beware of what orientation of asexual they are. If they're a romantic asexual, their behavior might be friendly, or it might be romantically attracted to you. But if it's an aromantic, they behave same as a romantic person. They probably have just friendship, really deep friendship, friendliness, intention. So romantic attraction is when you really desire someone romantically, like you want to kiss, you want to cuddle them, you want to hold their hand, you want to be with them, you feel this great sense of overwhelming, powerful, like, I've got to have that person in my life. I really love them, really want to be with them. You might not even think of love first of all. It's like you really fancy them, you're really attracted to them. You might be attracted to them for all different types of reasons. You really want them in your life. I think romance and emotional connection go quite well together, actually. You know, like when you feel romance for someone, you have like this really emotional connection with them. I do, you know, and you kind of like, with romantic attraction, I just want to kiss, cuddle, hold hands, be there for the person, love the person for who they are, give my heart to the person, make the person really happy, care about the person, the guy I'm talking about, because I don't get attracted to women, and just really see myself in the future with them, go to places together, cuddle up together, be there for each other, hold the person's heart in your hand. It's very precious. And the romantic attraction is a need, want, and urge to do all romantic things with this specific person. Someone who has romantic behavior but not romantic attraction, they might do things to please the other person in terms of romantic gestures, but they aren't actually feeling a need, urge, or want to do them in and of themselves. So if they never met that romantic person, or the person that wants to do romantic things with them, they wouldn't bother them whether they were romantic or not. And they wouldn't have romantic attraction aimed at anyone. They wouldn't think, I really want to kiss, cuddle, be close with that person. I really want them in my life. I really want us to be a couple. Do you know what I mean? When you are experiencing romantic attraction, like, you could put love songs on, it reminds you of that person. You could be thinking about them in the morning, the evening, the night. You can be thinking about what your life would be like with them, kind of picturing it and all that type of stuff. When you have romantic behavior, you kind of won't be thinking about that stuff the rest of the time. You'll just be behaving that way in the moment. Maybe it's because it's what's expected of you, or maybe it's because if you're coopy romantic, you really want to do that, you really enjoy the act of doing that. But if you're on your own, you don't need to do that. You can just have mates around you. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of difficult to assess sometimes. I mean, sexuals must find it really hard when asexuals do dress provocatively, or with their boobs on show, or dance sexually. The sexuals must find it difficult, because the signs are there that you're sexually attracted to them, because you're putting out sexual behavior even though you're not. So it's equally hard for romantics such as myself to be able to understand whether a person who's not romantic is giving me romantic behavior because they're attracted to me, or just romantic behavior because it's in and of itself is just that, romantic behavior. There's no romantic attraction involved. So I think you have to take it on a case by case basis, and I think you just have to get to know the person and really find out how they feel about romance, and whether it's something that's innately born into them, or whether it's just something that, if they're coopy romantic, they like the idea, the fantasy, they like the behavior, but they don't feel that way normally. Or whether it's aromantic and they're just being really over friendly, really really want you in their life as their best friend, but they have no romantic attraction towards you whatsoever, but the things, maybe the behavior that they do, is what you would experience normal in a romantic relationship, because that's what you're used to. So just gauge the situation as it is, learn, develop, grow yourself, find out more about asexuality, find out more about the people in your life, how they feel towards romance, how their views on it, and it's interesting for me that when I come across different aromantics, I can, I speak to a lot of romantics and aromantics, and some of them have very same behavior, or sometimes the aromantics can be more friendly than the romantics, and more in constant contact than the romantics. And I'm used to that in a romantic relationship. So I have to take a step back and think, hang on a minute, this person's aromantic. They don't mean it romantically. They just mean it friendly. They just mean it like they really like you as a friend. They care about you. They're happy you're around. So I think, you just got to remember that you are different to other people, that other people are different to you, and assess the situation at the time, and assess the person that comes into your life, and find out their orientation, and what they're if they're looking for a relationship, or it's something they've not considered, and that type of thing. Ask the person, but also observe their behavior, and observe their actions, and observe their mindset is everything. This is so true of asexuality too. So I don't get sexually attracted to anyone, but I do have some sexual behavior, but in my mind I never want sex. So someone who doesn't experience any romantic attraction, doesn't want any romance whatsoever, they would never think about being romantic with a person. It wouldn't even enter their head. And I think that's the difference, you know, when you're talking to someone, if they've said like, I don't think about anyone as romantically, I just have mates or friends, then you know that that person isn't experiencing romantic attraction. They're just not, despite whatever their behavior might be. I hope you found this useful, helpful, insightful in some way. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. If you like this video, please don't forget to share it with your friend. Subscribe if you haven't already by hitting the great big subscribe button down below. Please hit that bell icon to get notified of every time I go live like now or post a new video. And like I said, don't forget to give this thumbs up if you're enjoying the video. Until next time, embrace your quirky and each other's. Thanks so much for tuning in. Take care. Bye. Bye.